everyone, it's Lizzie. I recently purchased Zoe Sugg's second book, Girl Online on Tour. This is indeed the sequel to Girl Online that came out at the end of 2014. So today I'm sitting down with my coffee, the book, and my notes, and I thought that I would chat to you a little bit about what I thought about it and give a kind of review, I guess. And just to let you know, there will not be any spoilers in this video whatsoever. So with this sequel, I wasn't exactly expecting very much, to be honest, but I think that's what I think about any sequel, really. Because how can it really top the first one, you know? I guess I think that more about movies, but it also applies to books too. Because sometimes there's just not enough material to keep the story going and keep it as compelling as the first one that got you so enraptured in the story itself in the first place. But I honestly think that Zoe has managed to do that with Noah and Penny in Girl Online on Tour. There's something about Penny and Noah, their story is something worth telling. And even though Zoe took it somewhere kind of predictable, like in the fact that Noah is a musician and going on tour is kind of an inevitability for a musician. I mean, if they're lucky, I guess, but this is fiction we're talking about, and in fiction, most people get lucky. But as she said in her reveal video, she said that no one was able to guess the title. So I'm also kind of assuming that no one guessed where the story was gonna go. He is a really good YouTube sensation musician who has made it in the music industry. But I didn't jump to that conclusion, even though it totally makes sense, right? Again, I'm not giving any spoilers, but on the tour they got to go to Munich, Rome, and Paris, and they are three amazing cities that I have been lucky enough to visit myself. Though not on tour with a rock-godtastic boyfriend and his band on tour. I know, it's surprising, right? But it's the truth. But similarly for me, I wasn't in any of those cities for a very long time either. So I can at least understand that frustration that Penny had while visiting, that she wasn't there long enough to explore. You know, as you drive around and pass by like, wow, that's so amazing, I want to see everything, and you just can't. So I don't know, that was a nice little personal touch, I think, that I just connected with. Like many other YA novels, I feel that Noah and Penny's relationship is so believable that I feel like I should be able to go on Twitter and check up on their relationship, or go onto Instagram and see some of Penny's amazing photos. But yeah, then I realize it's fiction again, and my life is sad. However, a lot of YA novels can also go very wrong and somehow be forcing a relationship too hard. Even though, as I say, it's fiction, it can sometimes just not work. But Noah and Penny's works, and it works really well. I can easily see both of these Girl Online novels being made into wondrous films. The locations, the stories, the characters, so many elements would just work and translate so well to film that I kind of wonder if it would happen. It makes me really excited thinking about it. Though I have absolutely no suggestions for actors, that is something I would have to think a bit longer about. Something that I realized a lot more in On Tour as opposed to Girl Online is that Zoe puts so much of herself into these books. It just shows a lot more in On Tour. Like, I obviously don't know her personally, but what I do know of her through her YouTube channels and her interviews and other social medias, I think it's clear that these books reflect a lot of her personal preferences and characteristics, such as her love for hot chocolates and Brighton, the laneways, the beach. A couple of mentions for pugs slip in there sometimes as well. She also refers to her messy top knot as a pineapple, and it just made me think automatically of Louise and Zoe saying pineapple. Also, of course, the anxiety and stresses that she goes through, and the fact that they come in so naturally, and it's definitely not a forced thing. It's from the point of view of a reliable narrator, because the author has a reliable personal experience with it, and I find that really amazing. Because Zoe travels quite a bit and goes to a number of events and things to do with social media where you will get involved with the media, giving interviews, having paparazzi around, I think that it's really good that she included that side of it, where it's not made to seem so glamorous as we might see it from this side, whereas on the other side it can be quite stressful, like emotional and mentally. And I like that that is played out throughout the novel and given that kind of point of view for the readers. I find that to be really interesting. I loved the character of Larry. I thought he was a great minor character, and I love when you can just find someone throughout the novel who isn't playing such a huge role, that you can find someone genuine and supportive, and this real little minor character that you go, I like you. That was Larry for me. Okay, so I guess I have two gripes about this novel, and to be honest, they are quite nitpicky, and I'm gonna say that before I even get into them, but I'm choosing some negatives to include as well as the positives, I guess. First of all, when I saw the cover, I thought, oh, okay, that's what the cover is. I don't know, it's hard for me to explain why I don't like it, and I know you shouldn't judge a book by its cover, but then again, books with better covers that are aesthetically pleasing, that feel nice, I think they do sell better. So it's kind of a ironic thing there, or it's a bit of a contradiction, because you kind of do. It's just an automatic thing that we do. I do like the purple color. I do like the lights around it. I love the little photos. I think it's the neon orange, to be honest, that kind of clashes for me. I've never been a fan of neon colors, and perhaps even if it was a pink, there's just something about it that I'm not a fan of. The first one, the blue, being my favorite. Blue's always been my favorite color, and I loved the blue of that first cover, and I loved the photos she included and everything, and I just thought it worked so well. I was in love with that one. But this one, there's just a little bit something that I just didn't sit well with me, I guess. However, I do love this little rose gold star she's got here, and I think that's very Zoe, and I love it. Perhaps if it had a rose gold girl online, that would have looked stunning. Wow. That's one of my gripes. I told you it was nitpicky. The second one is a little bit more not so superficial because it's about the editing. There were a couple of places throughout when I was reading that didn't connect. There were a couple of inconsistencies, and I guess I'm that person who picks up on editing a lot because I enjoy editing personally. There were just a couple of times where unfortunately I haven't made a proper mark about which one in particular to give you a good example. It's one of those things that you're like, it just doesn't add up. There's something there. And because I'm that person who flicks backwards and forwards to see where someone's left off, even if it's like he touched my shoulder, then he squeezed my hand, and it hasn't said anything about he reached out for my hand or something. You know, it's those little things, so. But as I said, some people might not even notice that whatsoever, but I do, and they are my nitpicking gripes, so yeah. However, on a positive note, I want to end off by talking about the end blog post that Penny writes. And again, it is not a spoiler, it is just really lovely. When I did my review of the first Girl Online book, I thought that I would read off the end blog post, and it just leaves with this really lovely kind of moral about the story, and I think she's done exactly the same in this. So I'm going to read out Penny's words, aka Zoe's words, that I just found really inspirational and that I will take away with me from this book. We all have one life, and we can choose how we want to live it. It's important to realize that no matter what anyone else says, or how people may try to influence the way you do things, it's ultimately down to you. Which is just so lovely and true, and it's a great note to finish off the book, and know that it's not the end of the book, it's just really nice little message that I feel like Zoe's put in there to her readers as well, and not just Penny to her readers. And lastly, I want to acknowledge the acknowledgements, especially when I have loved a book. I don't like leaving on the last page, you know, the last sentence, the last word. That's not how the book ends. The book ends for me when I read the acknowledgements and I read every single name that they include in there. I don't skip over the paragraph of names that they include. I just find it really lovely to hear who has helped the author on the book, who's helped, you know, make this book come about. And I really enjoyed Zoe's thanks to her parents, to Alfie's family, and then lastly Alfie, and I thought they were so lovely. They just left me smiling, and yeah, I love acknowledgements. So, not that Zoe is going to watch this video, but if she does, Zoe, I want to acknowledge you for making these books come about. Thank you for creating the story of Noah and the Penny, and for making them come to life and sharing them with us, because I loved these books so much. I know I've had some negative things to point out as well, but overall I absolutely loved these two books. And I would recommend people go and reading them, because I think Zoe deals with some really great issues in them, as well as just some fun themes, and they are really enjoyable to read. Especially with summer coming up for us, it's a great summertime read because it's actually set in their summer, so it's a great time of year to read it. Anyway, that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed my little review of Girl Online on Tour. If you did, please remember to give it a big thumbs up, and don't forget to click subscribe as well if you want to see more videos like this from me, as well as other things that I make. I hope you all have a lovely day. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope I see you again in another video. Bye! You know, some days you just feel cute, and I don't have those days very often where I'll like see my reflection in